9 tails, bewitching beauty, and an undeniable danger. In modern popular culture, the Gumiho, or Kitsune, is firmly established in our minds as the femme fatale, a being of immense power and tragic love. But what if this image is the end result of a millennia-long distortion? What if the earliest records describe the 9-tailed fox not as a destroyer of men, but as a divine omen, a harbinger of peace and prosperity? How did a celestial messenger become a creature that feasts on human hearts? What historical and social forces drove this dramatic transformation? Tonight, we seek the answer. We will journey back in time, through the pages of China's ancient mythographies, the secret histories of Japan's imperial court, and the tragic folktales of the Korean peninsula, to uncover the forgotten chronicle of the 9-tailed fox. Our journey begins in a text believed to have been compiled around the 4th century BCE, China's mythological geography, the Shan Haijing. The classic of the southern mountains describes a mystical place called Green Hill Mountain and records the following. There is a beast here whose form resembles a fox with 9 tails. Its appearance brings great peace to the world. This is the first appearance of the 9-tailed fox in history. What is striking is the complete absence of the modern themes of seduction or malice. It was, instead, an auspicious omen, a symbol of a virtuous ruler. The 9 tails were not merely a physical trait, but the ultimate crystallization of wisdom and power, accumulated over 1,000 years. But this divine symbol was dramatically reshaped by the currents of history. The turning point comes in the Ming Dynasty novel Fengshen Yanyi, or The Investiture of the Gods. The novel depicts the tyranny and fall of the final king of the Shang Dynasty, King Zhou, and it lays the blame squarely on one figure, Daji. In the novel, Daji is the incarnation of evil, a bewitching consort who drives the king to invent cruel tortures and bankrupt the state. And her true form is a 1,000-year-old 9-tailed fox. Here, for the first time, the Gumiho becomes a political scapegoat and a femme fatale to justify the fall of a dynasty. This was a classic narrative strategy to transfer the blame for a historical figure's failings onto a mythological being. While this narrative evolved, on the Korean peninsula, the Gumiho developed its own unique trajectory. Here, the creature's core desire is not for power or destruction, but to become human. In countless Korean folk tales, the Gumiho endures trials to achieve this, such as consuming 1,000 human livers or maintaining a marriage for 100 days without being discovered. The fox marble, or Youlguso, is often a key element, representing the Gumiho's life force and wisdom, and acting as a medium for its connection with a human lover. But in most of these tales, the Gumiho's attempt fails at the last moment, often due to a human's betrayal or mistake. This resonates deeply with the Korean cultural concept of Han, a profound sense of unresolved sorrow and injustice. It makes the Korean Gumiho the most tragic, and perhaps the most human, of all the fox spirits. A divine symbol, a political scapegoat, a tragic figure. The myth of the Gumiho wears many faces. But how could this being escalate beyond mere folklore, to become perceived as a tangible national threat, capable of mobilizing a country's entire military? To find that answer, we must travel to 12th century Japan, to the Heian court, a world swirling with superstition and political intrigue. The 12th century Heian court of Japan was a world where high culture flourished, but its underbelly was a place governed by a deep fear of spirits, curses, and political intrigue. It was an era that believed unseen forces could decide the fate of the nation. This is the stage where the 9-tailed fox would be elevated from a mere yokai to a national threat. Into this cauldron of anxiety stepped a court lady named Tamamo no Mai. According to the 12th century text Konjaku Monogatari Shu, she was not only beautiful, but possessed a staggering intellect, able to answer any question on topics from Buddhist scripture to poetry and music. She captured Emperor Toba's heart, not with simple beauty, but with her wisdom, meaning an unknown entity had infiltrated the very mind of the state. As her favor with the emperor grew, his health mysteriously declined. When all medicine and prayers failed, the era's greatest Onmyoji master, Abe no Yasunari, was summoned. After performing a great ritual, he declared that the emperor's illness was no natural sickness, but a curse emanating from Tamamo no Mae herself. Exposed, Tamamo no Mae reverted to her true form, a golden-furred, nine-tailed fox, and fled east. The imperial court raised a grand army of 80,000 men to hunt her down. This was no mere monster hunt. It was a war for the survival of the nation. Her intellect had become not a gift to the court, but the most dangerous weapon against it. She was finally slain on the plains of Nesuno, but her malevolent spirit transformed into a great poison-spewing rock, the Seshoseki, or Killing Stone. This is a real volcanic rock in modern-day Tochigi Prefecture, which does in fact emit poisonous sulfuric gases. This fusion of myth with a real, dangerous landmark gave the legend of Tamamo no Mae a terrifying physical reality that lasted for centuries. The curse was said to have continued until the 14th century, when a high priest named Genno Shinsho finally destroyed the rock with his Buddhist power and exorcised the fox's spirit. This was the completion of a national narrative. A foreign chaos, the nine-tailed fox, was ultimately purified and brought into order by Japanese Buddhism. With this, the story of Tamamo no Mae became more than a yokai tale. It became a complete epic of the birth and defeat of a national threat. In conclusion, the seductive femme fatale nine-tailed fox we know is not the myth's original form, but a product of millennia of cultural adaptation. The case of Tamamo no Mae clearly demonstrates how the fox's image was manipulated and amplified to personify the political anxieties and fears of an era regarding threats from without. The divine symbol from China's Shanhai Jing became a scapegoat to legitimize a new regime. In Japan, it was cast as an external threat to the nation, while also fusing with native beliefs of prosperity. And in Korea, it became a vessel for the aspirations of the marginalized and the profound sorrow of Han. The story does not end in the dusty archives. A myth is not a fossil, but a living organism, constantly evolving and finding new hosts in every generation. In the 21st century, this ancient myth has not faded. Instead, it has fractured and recombined in the hands of countless creators, crystallizing into 4 distinct, modern archetypes. The first archetype is the tragic savior. At its zenith is the champion Ahri from the game League of Legends. She charms men to absorb their life essence. But behind this lies the agony of a being who wishes to become fully human. This is a direct inheritance of the core narrative of the Korean Gumiho, the yearning to be human and the sorrow of Han. This tragic element is deepened in Korean television dramas. In works like Tale of the Nine-Tailed or Gu Family Book, the Gumiho is no longer a monster craving livers, but a guardian with transcendent power, a romantic hero who fights against fate to protect their human lover. Modern creators chose the most emotional and tragic of the fox's many faces to resonate with a global audience. The second archetype is the apex predator, the embodiment of overwhelming power. Kurama, the nine tails from the anime Naruto, is the apotheosis of this trait. In the story, he is a living natural disaster, an entity of pure power and an object of immense fear. This inherits and amplifies the image of Tamamo no Mae as a national threat, scaling it to a global level. This concept of an uncontrollable threat is repeated in video games. The final boss, Ninetales, in the classic game Okami, or the powerful Kitsune Yokai in the Nioh series, all appear as great trials the player must overcome. The yokai that threatened the fate of one nation has been reborn as a force of nature that can alter the balance of an entire world. But not all modern depictions are destructive or tragic. The third archetype is the divine guide. In the game Ghost of Tsushima, the player follows sacred foxes to discover hidden Inari shrines. This is the most faithful and beautiful modern recreation of the kitsune's role as a zenko, a benevolent messenger of the god Inari. This divine image is adapted with more intimacy in anime. Tomei from Kamisama Kiss is a powerful familiar who protects the female lead, a god's land deputy. Senko from the helpful fox Senko-san is an 800-year-old demigod fox who pampers a weary modern man. This shows a shift from an object of worship in the past to a being of healing and care in the present. Finally, a minor but charming fourth archetype persists: the immature sidekick. Shippo from the anime Inuyasha is the quintessential example. He is not a great nine-tailed fox, but a young, inexperienced fox yokai who grows up alongside the main characters. His clumsy transformations and small foxfire attacks shed the weight of the grand myth, establishing him as a symbol of pure companionship and cuteness. In the end, modern creators are, in a sense, browsing the vast library of the nine-tailed fox myth that has been accumulated over millennia. One storyteller chooses a book on tragedy, another on power, another on divinity, and another on innocence. This process itself is a continuation of the act of myth-making, embedding contemporary values into the narrative, just as our ancestors did thousands of years ago. The chronicle of the nine-tailed fox is complete, but the myth itself is not over. It is still alive, breathing amongst us, waiting for new storytellers. In the mirror of this ancient myth, we discover the faces of our past, the desires of our present, and the stories of our future. The journey of the fox is, in the end, our own. And that is where our story ends for tonight. How was it for you? I hope the tale of the nine-tailed fox, which has lingered beside us for over 1,000 years, has brought a small measure of comfort and peace to your evening. Now, as the noises of the world fade away, in this quiet time meant only for you, go ahead and gently close your eyes and begin a deep journey into a story all your own. Who knows? Perhaps tonight, in your own dreams, you might just discover a piece of that ancient tale. Have a warm and wonderful night.